Hello everyone. Myself is a counseling psychologist. So today my topic is escapism. I think so we all do that escapism. So is it self-care or the part of toxicity? This is what we talk about today. So what is escapism? I think so before coming to this last night I was working. So after 10 o'clock I don't feel like making the PPT. And I started watching YouTube videos about cooking because I'm a huge fan of cooking. So after an hour or so, I started finding I have to make the PPT for the tomorrow's TEDx talk. So finally I made it. So this is an example that we all face that and we all need that. So what is escapism? It is basically intentional detachment. So why I did it, for example, because I was working on the laptop from last 10 hours, continuously on the computer, maybe an hour of break. So, like the today's generation, especially you young adults, definitely need a break when especially continuous classes are there in the schools. And definitely when there is an intentional detachment about that, you want to run away, you don't want to keep listening. Like the example we are listening today, TED Talk one after the other, we may be getting bored. So we need a break, and that's why the break period was there. So that's why we need a break from the reality. We get into the imaginary world, or we want to get into the temporary relief about that. What is, maybe we have sometimes some intrusive thoughts, sometimes we are getting bored, sometimes we don't feel like doing anything. It may be numerous reasons. So in youngster, mostly escapism. The youngster majorly use escapism as a tool for a temporary relief from their emotions, especially emotional pain and stress. It's very much required in today's world. But whether it is like shrinking from our own set of responsibilities, we don't want to take the responsibility, that's why we are escapist, or why we are escapist. So there is one theory of self-determination which says there are three basic psychological needs of a human. The first need is of autonomy, second need is of competence, and third need is of relatedness. When these three needs are being intimidating, then we use escapism as a defense mechanism. So we find it out that we are not correlating with something, we are not having the control over the situations, or we not having that competence, or we don't have that energy. So we find it out, escapism as a route to get relief or temporary relief from those thoughts. So escapism, mostly what is that? We all use escapism. We all know when we feel fearful, we have majorly two responses, fight or flight. Flight is running away from the situations. For example, we have a lion in front of us. We all want to run away. We have exams, especially young students. We want to run away, don't want to give exams. Without giving exams, we want to get into another class. So that is, we try to avoid studies. That is fight. And some students continuously started studying throughout the year. That is, maybe you can say, the fight mode. Another thing is, they say, is we all need the hormones, happy hormones, the dopamine, which is basically give us a pleasure and helps us keep motivated what we want to do. Maybe for short terms. So this is also one of the reasons when we find breaks in our daily routines and we feel happy. When you have a lunch break and when you have a tea break, even when you go for a washroom even, you feel happy because it's a sort of escapism at that particular time. So, but this escapism is mostly short term. But when escapism becomes toxic, it becomes a long term. Now, there is one dualistic model of escapism. This Person Censor gave the escapism scale, which he talked about. There are two types of escapism. One is self-expansion, another is self-suppression. They say these positive and negative escapism based on the outcomes and definitely what you are thinking about that. What is the meaning behind that? So it definitely based on your motivational focus. What is behind the motive that you are escaping? If you are escaping behind the motive, self-expansion means self-care. You want to do self-care after a break, you want to get back and recharge your batteries, that is self-expansion. Self-suppression is basically you are avoiding some negative thoughts, you are avoiding your emotional pain, you are shrinking from your responsibility. You don't want to study because you find the methods difficult, you find the sciences difficult. So those subjects when you are finding, or you have some problem at home, there is some fight between the parents, or you have a fight with your classmate or a friend, so that is disturbing you. Or maybe you have a fear of FOMO, missing anything in life, and that's why you want to watch one of your favorite match or a movie. And that time, that may be sometimes, as I said it, for the time being, it is a self-suppression, another self-suppression, because what you are doing is that you are suppressing your thoughts. So common escapist behavior. What common escapist behavior? Which is called self-care. We all use. Reading a book, drawing, doing some creativity. We get into some exercise routine. We get into some sort of break. We go for a holidays. That is also the common. Sometimes we take the help of a religion. If you all knows that sometimes we go to the spiritual. These days, the few days before the Navratras were there, even the people who were drinking regularly or having non-vegetarian food, they took a break specially. So this religion is also escapism, that we will leave alcohol and non-veg food just as the part of religion. So the faith-based is also. Suppose there is something not happening, maybe you are not getting the good exams, what you go to the mandir and ask for that, okay, I will pray to the God, I may get the good marks. So that is the common strategies people use. Now is negative type of escapism, which is called toxicity. The first thing I talked about, overeating, because we are talking about body shaming a lot. And it starts most of the time when we are kids, when people called it chubby, motu. So it's a very normal terms. And moti, even the person who is keep putting on the weight, people ask, is tumhara weight badh gaya hai? Something like that. So when you say is that overeating is somewhere correlated with people want to actually get away from their past, future and present negative thoughts. And they use eating, and eating gives them the pleasure for the time being. So there is a studies about that. Online shopping. And especially after the COVID times is increased, it's for short term also, it's for long term. Sometimes people who get disturbed with their negative thoughts or having a fight at home, not getting good marks, they will indulge into the shopping. Online shopping, people are indulged. And these days the studies are there. This is the latest studies by 2023, where they say is there is a long-term self-expansion also, there is a self-suppression also because of the online shopping. Running addiction. Most of the people, because of the body image issue, they do the exercising. And again, there is a study which talked about that when people get into the running or exercising routine, they again find it positive as well as negative outcomes for that. When we talked about, it is also the thing, people sometimes have fight at home, that there is my gym routine, I have to go it at any cost. And it impacts the routine. Even few children I have seen, they are talking to the parents, I want to the gym in the age of 16 or 17. Excessive video gaming. So there was again a study about where they say is that escapism is basically the major reason behind the gaming disorder. The people who were gamists also and the people who are doing basically playing games as a normal routine, mostly they have the escapist attitude. I have worked with one gaming company for more than 2 years as a therapist, and I have observed most of the people who were getting into this gaming addiction, they were mostly having some problems in their life, and that's why they thought to use it as a mechanism to get away from those thoughts or those problems. Social media. We all know after the COVID times, and especially there is a study about this, that youngsters, Facebook, Twitter, Instagrams, we started comparing our lives with other people's life. And definitely when we are comparing our lives, we finding we have lesser likes. Or this person is how much enjoying, making holidays, this person bought something new, or this person is dancing, I am not dancing. All these things plays an important role, and the study talks about that it plays a correlation with their addiction part. Binge watching. Most of the time, I remember that I dealt with one patient. This girl was 17 years old, and she was connected herself with she was suffering from loneliness and connected herself with the character of a particular play, and she used to watch for hours and hours till the moment the series was not about to be over. When the whole night she used to be wake up and definitely actually because of that she get into some psychotic symptoms of schizophrenia. Substance abuse, we know that when we feel emotional hollowness, we feel emotional pain, and to cut off that emotional pain, because we have no person to be dependent on, we get addicted to the substance abuse. It may be or drugs, and most of the time, whether it is a smoking addiction, whether it is a drugs addiction, or whether it is the addiction of the hard drinks, it's all related somewhere the escapist attitude, because we don't want to deal with those things directly. Daydreaming, mostly lots of people do daydreaming, especially people who love to read novels. They have their own set of stories because they keep on reading books. I would say today even itself someone asked me, I read a book every day and the books are there in my washroom, the books are there in my house everywhere, I go have books on my table. So I would say, what sort of books, the question would be, what sort of books you are reading? Definitely, if you are reading novels, it may be make you more empathetic. Hope you are not getting into a dreamy world, because your real life must be different from your dream life. Because especially we all get influenced by the Bollywood. We watch those movies and we start thinking about their love life, how the Shah Rukh Khan is making his wife feel special, or how the Javed Akhtar is reading a poetry for his wife. Gambling. So pathological gambling again is one of the escapists and is again the bigger reason of your distress. This is the research study says. Now what is the benefits of escapism? There are lots of benefits of escapism. The first of the foremost is reducing stress. Even we as a therapist or a psychologist tell our clients to reduce their stress level, at least 30 minutes per day they watch comedy, because comedy somewhere is increasing their endocrine, there is a hormones, so endorphin hormones is related to that, and comedy somewhere removes our pain, body aches. So to reduce the stress. So you can say that when we are telling them that if there is a problem in your life, suppose I remember that someone has a heartbreak. One of my clients, the girl, 18 years old girl, her mother passed away during the COVID times. I make sure her a routine that 30 minutes she should watch some comedy in a daily routine, because no one can replace the mother in the life, that's there. No one can replace the parents, but this was the technique how she can get away for the time being from that pain. So it is sort of, you can say, therapeutic technique for her. Inspires. Definitely when you watch certain things, you feel inspired. Maybe for some time if you are watching even the YouTube videos also, maybe you feel like doodling also, doing some creativity aspects also. It inspires you to do certain things. Maybe if you are reading or listening, maybe the poetry, it may tell you, okay, you may have some connection and you can also write something. Definitely it will keep motivated to you. Suppose you are going to a tough time, definitely you listen about the biographies, you may feel motivated. You meet the people who overcome the cancers, sort of diseases, and this hard setbacks of their lives, you feel inspired as well as motivated. Happiness, definitely, as I said it, whatever you do which gives you a pleasure, it definitely brings a happiness content. You go for holidays, you feel happy. There is no doubt about that. So all these things somewhere brings a positive thing. What is the cons of escapism? Definitely procrastination. When we keep watching now social media or binge watching those things, what we'll do? We procrastinate and delay our decisions. Like giving an example, the way I said it to you, that I procrastinated for an hour or so, just want to relax myself. But if this habit goes of that, a person or as a student, you are ignoring your studies and keep on doing that, definitely then there is a time that you need to think of that, it's become bigger problem. Avoidance. Sometimes we avoid difficult emotions, and because we avoid difficult emotions, we don't want to confront certain things. Escapism is the opposite of mindfulness, to be in present, and sometimes we avoid things. Avoid things, as I said it. Even we can talk about that numbness part. I remember there was one patient of mine, her parents used to fight. This 16 years old girl used to lock herself in the room and started listening songs with the headphones. doesn't want to be bothered about what my parents are talking about. So you can say sometimes you don't want to deal with the conflict directly and then use that way to numb yourself. Then addictive, because repetitively you do these things, it creates an addiction aspect. And not only addiction aspect, it creates a problems in your relationship also. Whether you are sitting with your parents, you will not want to interact with them because you are annoyed with them, maybe because of they are fighting, because they are pressurizing you for studies, or they have their different goals. You want to do something in studies and they want you to become something else, or they are not appreciating you enough how much you deserve. Definitely lots of mental health issues are there: loneliness, depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, PTSD, lots of issues are associated with that. Emotional instability. People avoid talking about emotional issues. I have a family where kids and the parents both talk every day for hours and hours. And you can imagine what their conversation is about, all superficials. They don't talk about emotions. They don't talk about what is bothering them. But every day, regularly, there is a routine, they will sit for 2-3 hours. Now, how to identify escapism is a self-care or a toxicity? If distraction is more prior than reality, then there is a need to check whether you are doing it for self-care or it is toxic for you. Second, when you are avoiding important issues or delaying the decisions too much, definitely when it interferes your daily routine, it may be your work, it may be your relationship, it may be your studies, it may be your marks. Like few students, they study only close to the exams, where few students study whole year. It affects our motivation level. You don't feel like motivated. There is one study where they did that high school male students majorly talk that they don't feel like doing the school homework because of they don't know how to do it and they don't feel like doing it. It's like because they would indulge in different other things. And the same study talks about in college students, females, due to overwhelmed, they avoid taking lectures. So you can imagine they don't do the homeworks because they are feeling overwhelmed. So can't control the urge to engage in it. Like when you are doing certain things, you are not able to control. Consume excessive thought, time and energy. Definitely you spend time on WhatsApp. You'll get it lots of things. You spend time on Facebook. You start chatting. You don't know where the 1 hour goes. And that's why the school banned actually the phones, if I am right. We prefer fantasy life to real life. So definitely, as I said it, we like that what people pose. We don't know how much energy and what they are going through actually in their lives. So, escapism and mental health. How to identify, we got to know, then what to do if you have escapist attitude. Ask yourself, what I am avoiding. What I am avoiding that you need to ask yourself, not to anyone else. How this escapist attitude is interfering my daily routine. Is it every day affecting my life? How often I do it? Why I want to do it? Is there a mood behind it? Or how escapism affect my life for the long term also? Or is it stop functioning from my daily routine? Now, how to deal with escapism? First, recognize the sign. That is very important. Second thing is self-acceptance. If you accept everything, half the problem is solved. Third thing, look beyond different perceptions, what your parents are saying, what your teachers are saying, what your friends are saying. That is also important sometimes if you are into addiction of that. Gratitude. We have lots of things. You are blessed where you are. So you start counting what your blessings are. Setting boundaries, time limits, taking breaks. There is one technique called where they say is that 25 minutes of task you do, then take 5 minutes break. Then again do 25 minutes of task. This is a way how you can work on your escapism. And then last is that you can visit a professional help for the same. Thank you so much.